Welcome to another edition of Douglas on My Mind. And as always, I'm Terrell Jacobs, City Manager with the City of Douglas. And we will have a very, very special guest with us today, Mrs. Vicki Lewis, our new CEO of Coffee Regional Medical Center. And we'll be talking with her about her adventures here in Douglas, Georgia, and all that she has been exposed to in her transition here to the South, which I think she's originally from the northwestern area, which around Wisconsin area. So this is a great opportunity for her to give us some insight what she's found from here. All right, we will be right back after these messages. We're back with more Douglas on My Mind. And as I stated before the break, we have with us Mrs. Vicki Lewis, our new CEO from Coffee Regional Medical Center. And we're glad to have her in our community. And her diction is quite well. She doesn't have that southern drawl as yet. We're going to work on you. Glad to have you here in our community.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Great, great. And I met Mrs. Lewis some months ago upon her arrival, and I'm glad to see that she's on board and already doing a lot of great things for our community, for our hospital. And, you know, a lot of times when we have people on our show that are new to this community, we kind of like to, you know, break the ice and say, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what your career path has been as far as getting here to Coffee Regional.
Happy to. My undergraduate degree is in nursing. I'm a registered nurse. So my career path started at the bedside in clinical nursing, and then finished up a master's degree from Ohio State University. So don't hold that against me.
No, we okay. That's the Big Ten, I think. That's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, not an SEC school.
Right.
And after that, worked for many years in hospital administration in Ohio. And then, as you stated earlier, most recently I worked in Wisconsin for the Aurora system. Okay. And was a hospital president over 2 hospitals within that system just before coming to Georgia.
Great, great. Well, we're glad to have you here. And obviously, you know, what comparable, I would say, in size to Aurora in relationship to hospitals kind of here, so people can get a perspective of what you were exposed to there?
Aurora is a 15 hospital system, so it's quite a large system that really spans from northern Wisconsin all the way down to Chicago. And I was responsible for 2 community hospitals, approximately the same size as Coffee Regional Medical Center in southern Wisconsin. I also worked in Green Bay for Aurora, so became a Packers fan.
Cheeseheads, as we call them.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, okay. All right, good, good. Well, I tell you, I visited Wisconsin and love it. Matter of fact, my wife got serenaded by the Wisconsin Badgers band. They didn't serenade me, but I don't know why. You know, but she looks better than I do. So great community there. I love, Wisconsin, great state. It has a lot to offer. I was surprised to find out I had a high school friend from that area who moved from Wisconsin to where I'm from, Blackshear, Georgia. Apples are grown, and delicious apples are grown in Wisconsin. I didn't know that until he came to school with us there. So just a lot of things that you would not be thinking coming from Wisconsin. So yeah,
they're very proud of their apple crops. In fact, one of my favorite physicians from Burlington, Wisconsin, actually has an apple orchard.
Get out!
And he's very proud of his Honeycrisp. So
they're delicious. So now you've been here how many months now?
I've been here about 4.5 months.
4.5 months. So you've got a good assessment, a kind of a good perspective of Coffee County, this community. What has been your take so far? I know, I know definitely. You can keep all the bad stuff. No, I'm just joking. But
there isn't anything bad. There's nothing bad.
So just tell us a little bit about what you've found about Coffee County in regards.
Well, my husband and I both feel that we've been very warmly welcomed, very happy to be here. I think that the community is very fortunate to have Coffee Regional Medical Center in Douglas. The hospital staff and the medical staff are outstanding, and I have been very fortunate to I meet almost everybody that works at the hospital, either casually or informally or formally, and I think the community has a lot to be proud of. Lots of well-trained physicians and very well-trained clinical staff.
Right, and it seems that one of the things that has been happening over the several years now, we've been recruiting a lot of physicians, and that's been a great thing. So I'm glad that transition is happening now that you're on board. Hope there's just continual growth of opportunity for our health industry, which hopefully, as Joanne Lewis would always say, our health industry is, I hate to use the analogy, but it's our bloodline to prosperity a lot of times, and it is. So
it very much so. As far as a large employer, obviously the hospital is just that. In the past 24 months, we've actually been fortunate enough to recruit 10 new physicians.
That's great.
And several specialties that were much needed, including general surgery and neurology. We have a hand surgeon starting this month.
Oh, wow.
In a specialty, and actually it's Laura Tharp, and Laura grew up very nearby, so she's a South Georgia girl who came back to practice medicine.
That's great. That's great.
We're very happy about that. Also have 2 new general surgeons starting, Tom Wayman and Chet Royals. And both of them have gotten very busy, so we're really fortunate. Right,
and one of the things that that surprises me is, as you speak about the young lady who's now coming back, is that value of community and quality of life that these young people go off and they come back and have an opportunity to serve the people that they hopefully grew up with or try, in that capacity. That is just something that you just can't imagine that happens. I liken this to the Mayberry USA perspectively. So I'm glad that has happened. I'm glad this young lady has the opportunity to come back and serve her community.
I think it says a lot for the community that a physician who went through fellowship training, so this is somebody who went to obviously undergraduate school, medical school, internship, residency, and then did a hand fellowship.
Right.
So obviously extraordinarily well trained, comes back to practice in the community. That's significant. Dr. Royals as well grew up here, came back to practice in the community.
That's great.
So
that's great.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. And
well, let's just I'm gonna do my shameless educational plug to these kids who are watching, or their parents who hopefully will encourage these kids. Please go to school, get your education, aspire to be doctors, lawyers that out, and then come back here and serve your community, and there's great opportunity for you to do that. We appreciate that, most definitely. As a new CEO, what are some things that you're embarking on since your arrival? What are some things that you're looking to try to improve upon with the hospital, and some things that you see that might not need to be addressed in regards to that?
Well, I think some of the things that don't need to be addressed are the quality. The hospital, as you know, has gained quite a reputation throughout the state of Georgia and nationally for quality outcomes. Yeah. So a lot of the clinical practices and clinical protocols are just outstanding, and those are the things that we need to keep in place and strengthen.
Right.
Like all hospitals, both in Georgia and the nation, we're facing a lot of challenges regarding reimbursement. The changes in accountable care, the changes in Medicare and Medicaid payment structure are challenging for us, just like for other hospitals. So we are doing everything we can to make sure that our quality continues to go up and that we provide the best care possible at a reasonable cost.
And obviously, one of the things that, frustrates, I guess, we as Americans incumbents with healthcare, it is a challenging proposition because you're trying to make great value, trying to create great value for your services at reasonable prices, and sometimes people don't think that your prices are reasonable, and that goes to say for any hospital or any medical, and that is a challenge. But obviously, looking at the cost of the services in regards to how you can facilitate continuing those services at high quality, there's got to be that little threshold of reasonable and value all playing together. So I commend y'all for hitting those benchmarks. A lot of hospitals struggle with that across this country, not just within Georgia. So there's a lot to be said. So as you're looking to raise the bar even higher, I know that's going to be a very, very challenging situation, but I think y'all are geared for the challenge, right?
I think so too. We've really looked at the cost of our supplies, and as you know, any kind of medical supply can be quite expensive. And so we are looking at purchasing groups and the acquisition of those products at a lower cost.
Good.
And we can obviously pass that low cost on to our patients.
And that's what it's all about. Speaking of that, with some of the things that you're looking at with changes, purchase groups, I think that's a wonderful idea. How has that, in regards to some of these changes with staff and physician, how has that been met with some of the changes that you've been looking at doing in regards to your hospital and your staff?
We're trying to do things more efficiently. So we are looking at all of our processes. We have an extraordinarily busy emergency department. You probably know that we have a 98% market share in our ED, which is unheard of. Very few hospitals can have experienced that and can claim that kind of percentage. So because so many patients come into our emergency department and so many of those patients are admitted, we try very hard to look at our processes and do things as efficiently as we can, and efficiencies do help us save money. So if there are areas that we can look at around supplies and also around changing in staffing, we have looked at those. But we have to be really careful that we don't change our quality while we're doing that.
And a lot of times efficiency is something we as employers strive for. And sometimes employees don't always grasp some of that concept. But just like I always give my analogy when I speak to our employees, when you walk into a retail store, you want the best service that you can get, and definitely getting that best service is from an employer standpoint with the most efficient level of personnel is the optimal issue. And that's the same way with anything that you do. And, obviously that's what hospitals have to drive to do as well. So your business, at the end of the day, you have to still care for people, but have a business mindset in regards to that.
Absolutely. We have so much to be proud of. All of our caregivers and physicians have accomplished so much around patient satisfaction. So we have also received many awards for our degree of patient satisfaction, just as you mentioned. And that's something that we're very proud of and something we want to continue. And it really doesn't matter which area of the hospital you look at, the emergency department, inpatient, ambulatory care, we have a very high degree of patient satisfaction. So that's rewarding for our staff when they get the surveys back and caregivers are mentioned by name by our patients. So lots to be proud of. We also take very seriously the fact that we're a large employer. So we want to be a great place to work and really look at reward and recognition of our caregivers as well. Good.
Coming to this community now for 1.5 months, you have some adjacent hospitals